Let me tell you a strange little secret hidden in plain sight inside the world of money. A secret so powerful that it quietly built empires, funded inventions, reshaped economies, and continues working tirelessly for anyone who knows how to use it, even while they sleep. It's not a trick, it's not a loophole, and it's not something reserved for wealthy people. In fact, it works best for ordinary people who simply know how to unlock it. This invisible engine has one job: to take something small, something almost insignificant at first, and turn it into something extraordinary over time. It's the closest thing finance has to magic. And yet, hardly anyone truly understands it. Today, we're going to lift the curtain. We're going to break down exactly how this force works, why it's so unbelievably powerful, and how you can use it no matter who you are. So get comfortable, because once you understand this concept, you'll never look at money the same way again. This is compound interest explained. Imagine you had a tiny snowball on top of a mountain. Nothing special, just a small lump of snow. But then you give it a gentle push. It starts to roll. Slowly at first, then faster. And as it rolls, it collects more and more snow until at some point it becomes huge, way bigger than anything you'd expect from something that started so small. Now replace the snow with money. That is compound interest. Albert Einstein supposedly called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. Whether he actually said it or not doesn't even matter. What matters is why people keep repeating that sentence. Because compound interest is one of the few forces in finance that genuinely feels like magic, even though it's just math. And the moment you understand it, you start seeing money in a completely different way. Today, we're going to break it down. Not with formulas you'll forget, but with simple, intuitive examples. And with a story that shows exactly how your money grows, why time matters more than talent, and how even small amounts can explode into something massive. Let's start with the simplest question. What is compound interest? To understand it, forget about interest for a moment. Think of growth. If you plant a seed, it grows into a small plant. That plant grows leaves. Those leaves collect sunlight, and suddenly the plant grows even faster because now it has more surface area to capture energy. Growth creates more growth. Compound interest works the same way. You earn interest not just on your original money, but also on all the interest you earned before. Your money earns money, and then that money earns money, and that keeps repeating over and over again. But let's make it even simpler. Imagine you put $100 into an account that pays 10% interest every year. After 1 year, you earn $10. Easy. But here's the magic: in year 2, you don't just earn $10 again. You earn interest on the original $100 plus interest on the $10 you earned last year. So instead of earning 10, you earn 11. In year 3, you earn more. In year 4, even more than that. At first, the difference is tiny. You barely notice it, and that's the part where most people give up. But compound interest doesn't care about your impatience. Give it enough time and it starts bending upward in a way that doesn't feel real. That slow start is the price you pay for the explosive final result. But to really understand how shocking the difference is, let me show you the duel between simple interest and compound interest. Think of it as a race between two people. Person A earns simple interest. Person B earns compound interest. Both start with the same amount of money, $10,000. Both earn 10% returns per year. But the rules of the race are very different. Person A earns the same amount every year, exactly $1,000. It never changes. No surprises. Person B earns 10% on whatever they have. In the first year, both people end up with $11,000. But in year 2, things start to change. Person A always earns $1,000. Person B earns $1,100. Not a big difference. But year after year, the gap gets bigger. After 10 years, Person A has earned $10,000 in total. Person B, their money has grown to over $25,000. Same time, same interest rate, more than double the result. And here's the part that really blows people's minds. By year 20, Person A has doubled their money. They have $20,000. Person B, they're sitting at over 67,000. And by year 30, person A has 30,000. Person B has almost 174,000. That's the power of exponential growth. It looks slow, unimpressive, even boring in the beginning. But in the end, it completely overwhelms everything else. This brings us to one of the most powerful principles in personal finance. It's not about how much you invest. It's about how long your money stays invested. Time matters more than the amount. Time matters more than your salary. Time matters more than your financial intelligence. Because time is the fuel for compound interest. Let's take an example that might surprise you. Imagine two people, Anna and Mark. Anna starts investing at age 20. She invests $200 a month for 10 years. Then she stops. Forever. No more contributions. Mark, on the other hand, waits until he's 30. Then he invests $200 a month every month until he's 65. That's 35 years of investing. Now here's the shocking part. By the time they're both 65, Anna, who invested for only 10 years, ends up with almost the same amount of money as Mark, who invested for 35 years. She contributed far less. She put in way fewer dollars. But she had something that Mark didn't. Time. That's the mathematical way of compound interest saying, start early, even with tiny amounts. It matters more than you think. But what if you didn't start early? What if you're 30, 40, or even 50? The good news is that compound interest does not punish late starters. It just rewards early starters. There's a big difference. Let's see how it plays out at 3 starting ages. Start at 20, invest $200 a month at 10% annual returns. And by age 65, you'll have around $2.7 million. Start at 30, you'll have about $1 million. Still incredible. Start at 40, you'll end up with around $350,000. Smaller, yes, but still massive compared to doing nothing. The key takeaway is simple. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is today. Time is your friend no matter when you begin. Now let's talk about something incredibly useful. A tool so simple yet so powerful that every investor should know it. It's called the Rule of 72. The Rule of 72 says if you want to know how long it takes for your money to double, just take the number 72 and divide it by your interest rate. If your return is 10%, 7.2 years. At 7%, about 10 years. At 12%, roughly 6 years. It's not exact, but it's close enough that investors use it all the time. It helps you visualize growth without doing complicated math. And once you start thinking in terms of doubling periods, you immediately understand why time is everything. But if compound interest is so powerful, why doesn't everyone become rich from it? Because there are things that kill compound interest. And most people accidentally do them. The first killer is impatience. People start investing, wait 1 year, see a tiny result, and think it isn't working. But the early years are supposed to be small. That's the warm-up period. That's the snowball just beginning to roll. If you stop early, you never reach the part where the curve starts bending upward. The second killer is inconsistency. Contributing sometimes, skipping other times, taking money out when things get difficult. All of that resets your growth. You're basically pushing the snowball back up the hill. The third killer is low returns. If your money only grows at 2 or 3% a year, the doubling periods become painfully slow. You might need decades to see any noticeable growth. That's why finding better returns while managing risk matters. But the biggest killer is starting too late. Not because late starters can't grow their money, but because the magic of compounding depends heavily on the early decades. Every decade you miss doesn't subtract time, it subtracts entire doubling cycles. Let's look at one more real example to show how extreme the growth can be. If you invested $1 at 10% annual returns in the year 1800, just $1, and no one touched it until today. And that is the true power of compound interest. Not the numbers, not the charts, not the formulas, but the simple idea that small actions repeated consistently over time can create outcomes that don't just grow, they explode. Most people overestimate what they can achieve in a month, and underestimate what they can achieve in a decade. Compound interest flips that on its head. It rewards patience, discipline, and time, three things anyone can have regardless of income. You don't need to be a financial expert. You don't need to be wealthy. You don't need the perfect moment to start. You just need to begin, stay consistent, and let time do the heavy lifting. Because in the end, money isn't just something you earn. It's something that can work for you quietly, constantly, and relentlessly if you give it the chance. If you found this explanation helpful, consider exploring more topics like this on the channel. There's an entire world of ideas waiting to be broken down and made simple. Thanks for watching, and remember, the earlier you start, the bigger the snowball.